Hello, world and universe. Welcome to the Trevor Donald Experience. And I want to talk about a case that took place about 3 years ago that made super duper headlines all over the national media in relationship to an ex NFL player who jumped on his girlfriend. But before we do that, make sure that you hit the like button. And if you're new to the channel, hit the subscribe button. And if you find this commentary interesting, please share it with people that you think will find it informative. But back to the subject matter. Ex-NFL player Chad Wheeler, who played at USC for 4 years, was a white gentleman, offensive tackle. He went undrafted to the New York Giants in 2017 and made the team, and then he went on to play for the Seattle Seahawks from 2019 to 2020. And I'm bringing that up because he was released. Chad Wheeler was an offensive tackle, big, huge gentleman, and then he got released by the Seattle Seahawks because guess what? He damn near beat his girlfriend to death. And she happened to be an African American young lady. And he beat her so bad that she thought that she had died twice. He had beat her into unconsciousness. She came back to consciousness, beat her again, all in the same night. Her arm was limped. She had multiple facial fractures. I've actually seen the pictures. I remember this case a few years ago and actually forgot about it. And she was messed up real bad. And it's weird, you had this weird dichotomy here because typically most professional athletes, you see African American men with white women. You very rarely see white male professional athletes with black women. I know Travis Kelce dated a black young lady, the Kansas City Chiefs tight end, but you don't see it that often. You very rarely do you see white males with black women in a professional sports arena. You mostly see black men with white women. You see that all the time. And this guy, big guy, offensive tackle, those guys average about 6'4", 280, 300 pounds. And she was a little bitty thing. And of course, we know with the court system, and unfortunately, when it is white versus black, in this case, the assault perpetrator was a white male. The courts have a tendency to take their time as opposed to expediting it expeditiously when it's a black man beating up a white female, especially. They have a tendency to convict that black man in the media and in the courtroom a lot faster. Well, Chad's case took 3 years, and it just came down to him getting convicted and found guilty on 2 charges of assault from the incident in 2021, January of 2021. So it took almost 3 years. But yeah, he almost beat this young lady to death, and his defense attorney tried to blame it on him being bipolar. I think, the pressures of playing in the NFL or the NBA or being a professional athlete are very tough. Evidently, he was a pretty good athlete if he made it to USC and started, and he was an first team All-Pac 12 player his senior year. But I think that in his defense, he probably is bipolar. He probably had a lot of pressures trying to sustain himself in the NFL. And I think this CTE issue with brain damage and what's going on with a lot of these athletes is a real thing. You saw what happened when Aaron Hernandez, who was a tight end for the New England Patriots, who was convicted on several counts of murder. And then when he committed suicide, supposedly in jail, they did an autopsy on his brain and it said he had CTE, which may have led him down the road of all of his gang affiliations and the violence that he was committing while playing in the NFL. And so it must be a real thing. But unfortunately, with CTE, you can't find out and get diagnosed with it until after you have died. This thing with Chad Wheeler and his ex-girlfriend is unfortunate because of mental illness is a real issue for all types of people, regular folks that work 9 to 5s and professional athletes. We have a tendency, us as fans and the average citizen, we continuously are placing these athletes and entertainers on this pedestal that's not based in reality. They're just people, just like anybody else. They're flawed. They have issues, just like anybody else. But we continue to chase this bag, this unforeseen, unrealistic bag that these professional athletes are garnering, and very few of them are making $40 and $50 million a year. The majority of them are living season to season, paycheck to paycheck. And so those stresses of life probably got the best of him, and he unfortunately, whatever the circumstance was, took it out on his girlfriend. And as I stated earlier, you very rarely see where a white professional athlete male is dating a black female, let alone jumping on her and beating her half to death. We've heard many stories of African American professional athletes and their white girlfriends or wives and having domestic issues. That has happened. We've heard many stories about that. And I think some of that is because, not that black men are more violent than white males. Domestic violence does not have a color, but I think you see a higher number of African American men dating outside of their race and dating white women. So that increases the numbers as far as the opportunities for domestic issues with black men and white women versus white men and black women. So he almost beat her to death. She thought she had died. Fortunately, the police finally got there, and she is doing well. His case just came through the courts. It was put off for 2.5 to 3 years. A lot of that is done by the lawyers to try to get the salaciousness and the media attention off of the case, to try to get his client the best deal that he could get them. You want to try to keep it out of the media and bury it for a while, and they did for almost 3 years. But the jury came back. He got convicted of 2 counts of first-degree assault, and he's looking at up to 10 years in the penitentiary or in jail for it. And it's deserving. I'm not an advocate for domestic violence. I don't care what color you are. A man beating on a woman is wrong, or a woman beating on a man is wrong. We need to live life in some kind of positive, loving, righteous way. And when we have conflict, we need to understand and have a certain level of consciousness and psychology for mediation. If it doesn't work out, leave the person alone. Get a divorce. Find another girlfriend. There's 360 million people in the United States, 8 billion around the world. There are enough women and men to go around that you don't have to force somebody physically to be with you or to harm them if they want to leave you. So this is a standard case. I think it did not get a long-lasting media attention because of the white power structure in media. And this was a white guy who committed this crime against a black woman. I do believe if it was a black male football player, NFL player, and a white girlfriend, I think you would have seen it on national news that he was convicted. It would have ran itself and its course through the social media and the national coverage of the media numerous times. I think him being a white male, semi-privileged, helped them bury this negative situation that he committed on this young lady. So you do see that there's a black world and there's a white world. It's not fair. And it got buried for a few years, but it did come up because I've been following it, that he has been convicted and will have to serve jail time. If you Google Chad Wheeler, you'll see the name of the young lady. I can't think of her name right now. She was happy about this situation being over with and she can move on with her life. Hopefully this gentleman can get all the psychiatric help, serve his time quietly, and try to restore his life in the same vantage that this young lady needs to restore her life, because he may be bipolar or have CTE, but now she has PTSD and nightmares and physical wounds that she will have forever. Those things will never disappear or dissipate from her physical and emotional and mental existence. All of it's wrong. I'm not an advocate for domestic violence. I think it's wrong. I don't think you should put your hands on anyone, male, female, child, or otherwise, pet. I think we can resolve issues by having a verbal conversation, and if two people need to part ways, then that's what they should do. So yeah, please look up to Chad Wheeler, ex-NFL player for the Seattle Seahawks, who got into a big mess with a domestic assault charge against his now ex-girlfriend. And it's one of the rare times where you see it was a white male assaulting his black girlfriend. And it's unfortunate. Thank you for listening. If you enjoyed this commentary, please hit the like and that notification button. If you haven't done that yet, please share this information with folks you think will find it informative. And please manifest your truth in the right direction. This has been the Trevor Donald Experience, and I'll see you next time.